All right, so everyone get ready because we are diving deep into a story that has the tech world in a frenzy.
Yeah, things are getting pretty crazy.
We're talking DeepSeek,
DeepSeek, right.
a Chinese AI startup that basically appeared out of thin air
Yeah, seemingly out of nowhere.
and completely shocked the industry.
Shook things up for sure.
They just released this new AI model,
BR1.
and it's not just like good,
It's phenomenal.
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really remarkable what they've accomplished.
So they managed to do something really incredible.
They did.
They managed to outperform some of the biggest names in the AI space.
Some of the biggest companies out there.
Companies that have way more resources.
Vastly more.
And they did it all while having to deal with U.S. sanctions on those advanced semiconductors.
You know, the ones everyone needs for this type of work.
So it's almost like they just pulled a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah, exactly.
And now everyone's trying to figure out how they did it.
Everyone wants to know the secret sauce.
So we've got research reports, market analysis, even some insider speculation.
Trying to piece together the puzzle.
We're trying to break it all down for you today.
Yeah.
Figure out how DeepSeek pulled this off, what it means for the AI world,
What it means for the future of AI.
and most importantly, why you should care.
Why this matters.
So,
So why should we start?
well, I think a good place to start is with DeepSeek's origins.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So this wasn't some big tech giant.
Yeah.
It wasn't some research lab churning this out.
No, it's very unexpected.
DeepSeek was founded just a couple years ago
D23?
by this guy named Liang Feng.
Yeah, Lan Feng.
And get this, he was actually a hedge fund manager.
You got that right?
Wait, a hedge fund manager?
Uh-huh.
Like those Wall Street guys who just move money around all day?
Pretty much.
I thought those guys were all about spreadsheets,
Yeah, you'd think.
not AI.
Right, exactly.
I always thought they'd be more interested in,
Training algorithms.
training algorithms to predict stock prices,
To make themselves richer.
not to create like this groundbreaking AI model.
Seems like Liang Feng was onto something, though.
Well, clearly he was onto something.
He definitely had a different vision.
So from the beginning, DeepSeek had this really intense focus on efficiency,
Yeah, that seems to have been a key part of their strategy.
trying to squeeze every last bit of performance out of their hardware,
Like they were really trying to push the limits.
and aiming for something called AGI.
Artificial General Intelligence.
Okay, hold on, AGI.
Artificial General Intelligence.
That sounds like it's straight out of like a science fiction movie.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a sci-fi feel to it.
Can you break that down for us a little bit?
Okay, so imagine an AI that can learn
Okay.
and solve problems across all sorts of different tasks.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like a human brain.
So like not just good at one thing, but can think and adapt.
Yeah, exactly like we do.
Wow.
So that's the ultimate goal of AGI.
To create an AI that's basically like us.
That can think like us.
That's a very ambitious goal.
Oh, it's extremely ambitious.
And I think most experts think we're still a long way off from that.
Yeah, most people think it's still quite a ways off.
But DeepSeek has been aiming for that from day one.
It's been their guiding principle from the start.
So they're not just trying to build a better chess-playing computer.
Yeah.
They're going for the whole enchilada.
The holy grail of AI.
But how did they manage to create such a powerful model with such limited resources?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I mean, the U.S. sanctions meant that they couldn't get the best GPUs, right?
Right, they couldn't get their hands on the top-of-the-line stuff.
So how did they do it?
They had to get creative.
Fire.
They had to think outside the box.
Give us an analogy.
Okay, so imagine you're a chef.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You're trying to make this amazing meal,
Okay, I'm with you.
but you've only got a tiny kitchen and very few ingredients.
Oh, I see.
You'd have to get really resourceful.
You'd have to make do with what you have.
Exactly.
I get it.
So that's essentially what DeepSeek did.
Wow, so they were cooking up AI magic with one hand tied behind their backs.
Pretty much.
I'm impressed.
It's a remarkable feat.
So how did they do it?
Well, one of the ways was through really clever engineering.
Okay.
They used these techniques like mixture of experts.
Mixture of experts.
Yeah.
What's that?
So basically, only the parts of the AI model that are needed for a specific task are activated.
Oh, so kind of like turning on the lights in the rooms you're actually using.
Exactly. A great analogy.
Makes sense.
It saves a ton of computing power.
So they found a way to make their AI work smarter, not harder.
Precisely.
Okay, but what about this whole semiconductor restriction thing?
Ah, yes. The elephant in the room.
How did they actually get around that?
Well, before the full ban came into effect,
Okay.
they were able to legally acquire some less powerful H800 GPUs.
Okay, so they got in just under the wire,
Exactly. They were able to stockpile some.
but there's some speculation they might have gone a step further
There are rumors.
and use a technique called distillation.
Distillation.
That's right. Now, I've heard of distilling whiskey,
Right.
but how do you distill an AI?
Okay, another analogy for you.
I love analogies.
Imagine you're training a hawk to hunt,
Okay.
but you're using a trained eagle as its teacher.
Okay. I'm fine.
So the hawk learns all the techniques,
From the eagle.
but it doesn't need the eagle's huge wingspan.
Ah, I see.
So in a similar way, DeepSeek might have created this smaller, more efficient AI
Okay.
that basically learned from a much more powerful one.
So they trained their AI hawk using someone else's eagle.
You got it.
That's pretty clever.
Very clever.
But also kind of sneaky, right?
Well, it's definitely pushing the boundaries.
It makes you wonder if these export controls are actually working.
It definitely raises some questions about their effectiveness.
So DeepSeek isn't the first Chinese company to innovate under pressure, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, look at Huawei.
Huawei.
Escalates.
Right.
They've found ways to work around these restrictions, too.
They've had to be very resourceful.
And the impact of this on the market
No,
has been huge.
to say the least.
I mean, that $1 trillion market cap wipeout we saw,
Oh, yeah?
that was definitely a sign that DeepSeek sent shockwaves through the industry.
They really rattled some cages.
Yeah, I think it sent a shiver down the spine of some pretty big companies,
Definitely caused some panic.
especially among investors in companies like NVIDIA,
Right. NVIDIA.
who make those high-end GPUs.
The ones everyone thought were absolutely essential for AI dominance.
But wasn't there an expert,
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Shell,
Danny Shell, yeah.
who actually bought more NVIDIA stock after this whole DeepSeek thing?
That's right. She doubled down.
That seems a little counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah, on the surface, it does seem strange.
Why would you do that?
Well, I think Shell understands something that a lot of people missed.
Okay, what's that?
DeepSeek's breakthrough, even though it's causing all this disruption,
Uh-huh.
could actually end up being good news for NVIDIA in the long run.
Really?
It all comes down to this concept called the Jevons paradox.
Okay, Jevons paradox.
Jevons paradox.
You're going to have to explain that one.
It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple.
Okay, go for it.
So think of it this way.
Okay,
DeepSeek just made the shovel for the AI gold rush way cheaper.
okay. The shovel for the AI gold rush.
Yeah.
I like that.
So now everyone can afford to mine.
I see.
So even though some companies might take a hit initially,
Uh-huh.
the overall demand for those shovels,
The GPU
GPUs, right?
explodes.
Exactly.
So even though DeepSeek might be a competitor in the short term,
Right.
they're actually expanding the market for AI overall,
Exactly. They're making the pie bigger.
which could benefit NVIDIA in the long run.
Precise.
That's why Jenny Shell is doubling down on her bet.
She's playing the long game.
Smart move.
Very smart.
But this brings us to a really important point.
What's that?
DeepSeek is not an isolated incident.
No, it's not.
It's just one part of a much bigger story
A much bigger story that's unfolding.
that's unfolding right now in China.
That's right.
So you're saying there's a whole lot more brewing in the Chinese AI scene than just DeepSeek.
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole lot more to come. Oh, yeah, DeepSeek is just the tip of the iceberg.
So what else is out there?
Well, you've got major companies like Alibaba,
Okay.
Baidu,
Uh-huh.
and ByteDance
ByteDance.
pouring tons of resources
Yeah.
into AI research and development.
ByteDance, that's the company behind TikTok, right?
That's the one.
Didn't they also release like a chatbot or something?
They did. It's called Douyin.
Douyin, okay.
And from what I've heard, it's giving Western chatbots a serious run for their money,
Oh, really?
especially in terms of user experience.
You know, it's kind of like how TikTok just came out of nowhere
Yeah.
and just dominated the whole short-form video scene.
It seems like these Chinese tech companies have a knack for taking existing ideas,
Uh-huh.
refining them.
And then just scaling them up massively.
Yeah, they're really good at execution.
I bet there are a bunch of other Chinese AI companies out there
Oh, I'm sure.
that are flying under the radar right now,
Absolutely.
but we'll be hearing about soon.
Definitely some future giants in the making.
Can you give us any names?
Keep an eye on Jupu.
Jupu. Okay.
They're linked to a top university.
Interesting.
Also, Moonshot AI.
Wujo.
They're focused on more practical applications.
Okay.
And then there's Minimax. They're using AI for entertainment.
Okay, so we've got DeepSeek shaking things up, a whole bunch of Chinese companies on the rise,
Yeah.
and this big question mark about how effective these export controls really are.
It's a complicated situation.
This feels like it goes way beyond just the tech world, right?
Oh,
We're
absolutely.
talking about geopolitical implications.
This is about global power dynamics.
And to make things even more interesting, DeepSeek's model is open source,
Right.
which adds a whole other layer to this.
Another wrinkle.
It's kind of sparking a debate that reminds me of all the concerns people had about TikTok,
Yeah, I see the parallels.
but with even higher stakes.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. How is an open source AI model like TikTok?
Okay, so think about it.
Okay.
People were worried that TikTok could be sending user data back to China, right?
Right, that was the big fear.
But get this.
Yeah.
The data from U.S. TikTok users is actually stored securely in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yeah, under Oracle's control.
Huh.
So with DeepSeek, it's almost the opposite.
How so?
Their code is out in the open. Anyone can use it.
Okay.
But there's this concern that some data could be flowing back to China.
So it's like we were worried about the wrong thing with TikTok.
Or at least not looking at the whole picture.
It feels like this whole DeepSeek situation is a wake-up call.
I think you're right.
It's not just about China catching up.
No.
It's like a fundamental shift in how AI is developed and used,
It's a paradigm shift.
and it's throwing a real wrench in the plans of U.S. policymakers.
Definitely making them rethink their strategies.
I mean, how do you control something that's open source?
That's the million-dollar question.
It was like trying to lock it down could actually backfire
Yeah, it could stifle innovation.
and just push development underground.
Exactly. Drive it into the shadows.
So what's the answer?
Well, it seems like the old playbook might be outdated.
We need a new approach.
A new approach. Yeah.
Maybe something more collaborative.
Especially between the U.S. and China.
Yeah. When it comes to AI governance,
That's the key, I think.
it feels like we need a whole new framework for global AI governance.
We need a new set of rules.
One that actually promotes responsible development.
And addresses all of these complex new challenges.
The problem is,
Yeah.
there aren't really any concrete solutions right now.
Not yet, at least.
So let's recap.
Okay.
We've covered DeepSeek's success.
Right.
Its potential impact on companies like NVIDIA,
Uh-huh.
the wider AI scene in China,
The bigger picture.
and this open source dilemma.
A lot to unpack.
So what does all of this mean for the U.S.?
Well,
What can we learn from all of this?
that's the question we need to be asking ourselves.
What can we learn from DeepSeek?
And from China's approach to AI,
Because clearly they're doing something right.
they're definitely onto something.
You know Jenny Schell,
Yeah.
the expert who bought more NVIDIA stock?
Right.
She made an interesting point about the so-called AI arms race.
What did she say?
She said it's not really a race between countries,
Oh, interesting.
but between Chinese talent in the U.S.
Okay.
and Chinese talent back in China.
So it's a battle for talent.
Exactly.
A battle for the best minds.
It's not about which country has the most resources.
It's about who can attract and keep the brightest people.
And I think there's a real danger in trying to over-securitize AI.
Yeah, I agree.
It could end up hindering the free flow of talent.
And stifle innovation.
It's like that executive order a few years back.
The one that limited Chinese students' access to U.S. universities?
Right.
You could argue that pushing those talented people away might have actually helped companies like DeepSeek.
Interesting point.
It's definitely something to think about.
We need to be careful not to create these self-fulfilling prophecies.
We don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot.
So maybe instead of viewing DeepSeek as a threat,
Maybe
we should see it as an opportunity
an opportunity for what?
to rethink our whole approach to AI,
I like that.
to be smarter about how we foster innovation
And collaborate.
on a global scale.
A more global mindset.
Exactly.
That sounds like a good plan.
But that's easier said than done, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, getting different countries to put aside their differences
Huh?
and work together on something as complex as AI,
Right.
that's a pretty tall order.
It's a huge challenge.
But it's a challenge worth taking on
Absolutely.
because the potential rewards are just too great to ignore.
The possibilities are endless.
Imagine a world where we can harness the collective brain power of the entire planet to solve some of the biggest problems we face,
That's a powerful vision.
like climate change,
Right.
poverty,
Right. Disease.
maybe even explore the universe in ways we can't even imagine right now.
It's mind-boggling.
That's pretty inspiring stuff.
It really is.
But it all starts with
Did-
taking that first step.
Toward a more collaborative approach.
But let's be realistic.
Okay.
We're talking about a major shift in global dynamics here.
A seismic shift.
Are there any potential downsides to this whole collaboration thing?
Well,
Could it backfire in some way?
That's a valid concern.
Because anytime you have different cultures, different ideologies coming together,
there's always a risk
of misunderstandings.
of conflict.
Well, what's the worst case scenario?
Well, one risk is that countries could use AI collaboration as a way to exert their dominance.
To gain an advantage.
Exactly.
It could become a new kind of arms race.
A technological arms race.
And that doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't.
So how do we prevent that?
Well, I think it's crucial to establish clear guidelines and regulations.
From the start.
From the very beginning.
To make sure that AI is developed and used ethically.
Responsibly.
So we need to be cautious.
Absolutely.
But not let fear paralyze us.
We can't let fear hold us back.
We need to find that balance.
The balance between collaboration
and competition.
Between openness and security.
But what about the role of individuals in all this?
Yeah, that's an important point.
I mean, what can everyday people, like our listener, do to actually make a difference?
That's a great question.
Because it feels like this is all happening at such a high level.
Right.
Governments.
Big tech companies.
What can the average person actually do?
No, it's important to remember that AI isn't just something that happens to us.
Okay.
It's something that we as individuals have the power to shape.
So you're saying we're not just passive bystanders?
No, we're not.
In this whole AI revolution?
We have a voice.
We can actually have a say.
Absolutely.
In how it all unfolds.
We can influence the direction of AI.
Okay, I like that.
In fact, I think individuals have a crucial role to play.
Okay, tell me more.
In making sure that AI is used for good.
All right, I'm all ears.
So what can we do?
Yeah, what can we do?
Well, first and foremost, we need to educate ourselves.
About AI.
About AI, right?
Okay.
The more we understand about this technology, the better equipped we'll be to make informed decisions.
About its development?
And its use.
So, hit the books.
Well, not necessarily.
Back to school for AI 101.
There are tons of resources out there.
Okay.
Online libraries, community groups.
That can help us learn about AI.
In a way that's accessible and engaging.
So you don't need to be like a computer scientist to understand this stuff?
Not at all.
Okay, that's good to know.
You just need to be curious.
What about for people who aren't really tech savvy?
There are resources for everyone.
Okay, good.
Start by reading articles, watching videos, attending talks or workshops, or even just having conversations with friends and family about AI.
Just start talking about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The key is to spark a dialogue.
A dialogue.
And demystify this technology.
So it's all about starting a conversation.
Yeah.
Getting people thinking about AI and its implications.
Exactly.
Because the more we talk about it, the more we can ensure that its development reflects our values.
Our values as a society.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Great.
So education is key.
It's the foundation.
What else can we do?
We can also support organizations that are working to promote ethical and responsible AI development.
All right, cool.
Groups like the AI Now Institute.
Okay.
The Partnership on AI. The Future of Life Institute.
So these are organizations that are really focused on making sure AI is used for good.
They're at the forefront of this movement.
So donate to them.
Yeah.
Volunteer our time.
Spread the word.
Make sure people know about the work they're doing.
Exactly.
Every little bit helps.
It all adds up.
But what about on a more personal level?
Yeah.
What can we do in our own lives to actually make a difference?
That's a great question.
Because sometimes it feels like these problems are so big.
They can feel overwhelming.
That there's nothing we can do as individuals.
Right.
But surely there must be something.
Oh, there definitely is.
Okay, listening.
One simple but powerful thing we can do is to be mindful of the data we share online.
Okay, so be careful about what we post on social media.
Exactly.
Think twice about the apps we use.
Be aware of the data trails we leave behind.
Because the more data we give away,
the more powerful AI becomes.
And that's not always a good thing.
It depends on who's controlling that power.
All right, so be mindful of our data.
Data is the fuel of AI.
What else?
We should also be aware of the potential biases that can be embedded in AI systems.
Wait, how can an AI be biased?
Well, AI systems are trained on data, right?
Right.
And if that data reflects existing societal biases, then those biases can get amplified in the AI's output.
So if an AI is trained on data that mostly features men in leadership positions, it might conclude that men are better leaders than women.
That's a simplified example.
Okay.
But you get the idea.
So basically, don't just blindly trust what an AI tells you.
Exactly.
You have to use your own judgment.
Your own critical thinking skills.
And if you see something that seems off,
something that seems biased or unfair,
you got to speak up.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about educating ourselves.
Right.
It's about engaging in the conversation.
And demanding better.
From the people who are developing these technologies.
Holding them accountable.
Okay, I'm feeling fired up.
Good.
What else can we do?
We can also support policies.
Policies, okay.
That promote ethical and responsible AI development.
So contact our elected officials.
Yes.
Let them know that this is something we care about.
Exactly.
That we want AI to be used for good.
Make your voice heard.
Right. Letters, make calls, show up at town halls.
All of the above.
Okay, I can do that.
We need strong regulations to prevent the misuse of AI. We need investments in AI research that prioritizes human well-being.
And we need policies that make sure everyone benefits from the AI revolution.
Not just a select few.
So this is about more than just technology. It's about a fundamental shift in the way we think about technology.
And its role in society.
It's a big ask.
It's a big shift.
But it's a necessary one.
Absolutely.
Because the future of AI is too important.
Too important to be left to chance.
We need to take an active role in shaping it.
And that starts with each and every one of us.
Okay, so we've talked about educating ourselves.
Right.
Supporting ethical AI organizations. Being mindful of our data.
Being aware of our digital footprint.
Questioning AI bias.
Don't just take things at face value.
And advocating for responsible AI policies.
Use your voice.
Anything else we can do?
One final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
We need to remember that AI is ultimately a reflection of ourselves.
What do you mean by that?
AI systems are created by humans.
Okay.
Trained on data created by humans. And used to make decisions that impact human lives. So if we want AI to be a force for good, we need to start by looking inward.
You're saying if we want to create better AI, we need to create a better world.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's deep.
It is deep.
And it's a message I think is worth spreading.
I agree.
So let's spread the word.
Let's get people talking.
But before we wrap things up, I have one final question for you.
Okay, shoot.
With all this talk about collaboration and this need to rethink our approach to AI, what are you personally most excited about?
That's a good question.
What gives you hope for the future?
You know what excites me the most?
Yeah?
Is the potential for AI to help us solve some of the biggest challenges we face.
Like?
Climate change, poverty, disease.
Wait, these are problems that have been around for centuries.
For millennia.
And we haven't been able to solve them.
But with AI,
yeah,
we might finally have the tools to make some real progress.
It's like you're on the cusp of a new era.
A new era of human ingenuity.
And that's what gives you hope.
That's what keeps me going.
That if we approach AI with a spirit of collaboration
and a focus on human well-being,
we can create a future that's brighter than anything we can imagine.
That's the dream.
I love that.
Me too.
But even with all this potential for good, there's some real risks we need to consider, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, this is powerful technology.
It's a double-edged sword.
So what are some of the things that keep you up at night?
When you think about AI, there's definitely some things that worry me.
Like what?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for AI to be used for bad stuff. You know?
Like what kind of bad stuff?
I mean, things like developing autonomous weapons systems.
AI-powered weapons.
Yeah, basically killer robots.
That's scary.
It is a scary thought.
And what else?
Well, there's also the potential for AI to be used to create these super sophisticated surveillance tools.
Like the kind of thing you see in those dystopian sci-fi movies.
Exactly.
Where everyone's being watched all the time.
Right. And that could really erode our privacy.
So we have to be really careful about how this technology is developed and used.
We need to think about the ethical implications.
It's like giving a loaded gun to a toddler.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Powerful tools in the wrong hands can have devastating consequences.
Absolutely.
And even if everyone has good intentions,
right,
there's still the risk of unintended consequences.
AI systems can be really complex.
And unpredictable.
Even the people who create them might not fully understand how they work.
So an AI could do something completely unexpected.
That throws everything off.
So it's not just about preventing bad actors from using AI for evil purposes.
Right.
It's also about making sure that AI systems are designed and used responsibly.
And that we have safeguards in place.
To mitigate the risks.
Exactly.
And then there's the economic impact.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, AI has the potential to automate a lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs that humans currently do.
And that could displace a lot of workers.
And potentially lead to greater inequality.
If we're not careful.
We need to start thinking now about how we're going to adapt to these changes.
And make sure that everyone benefits from the AI revolution.
Not just a select few.
It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to process.
But I'm still hopeful.
Me too.
It seems like we're at least having these conversations now.
Which is a good sign.
People are aware of the risks.
And hopefully that will lead to more responsible development and use of AI.
I think the DeepSeek moment has really brought a lot of these issues to the forefront.
It's been a wake-up call.
It's forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths.
About ourselves and our relationship with technology.
It's like DeepSeek threw a rock into the pond.
And now we're seeing the ripples spread out.
In all directions.
And those ripples are going to keep spreading.
This is just the beginning.
The decisions we make now, the conversations we have, the actions we take.
It's all going to shape the future.
The future of AI.
And ultimately, the future of humanity.
We have a responsibility to get this right.
So to our listener, we'll leave you with this.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Challenge assumptions.
And demand better from the people who are building the future of AI.
Because the future is not something that just happens to us.
It's something we create together.
We all have a role to play.
And that's it for this deep dive into the world of DeepSeek.
It's been a fascinating journey.
We hope you've enjoyed it.
And that you've learned something along the way.
Until next time.
Stay curious.